And it's really important for parents to understand the deeper aspects of what is the right fit for them, right? Because if you don't analyze those aspects and pick a curriculum because your friend told or somebody said this is good or bad, if it's really good teacher, really good CBSE teacher, they might find some practical examples from outside the textbook. So that's the core difference in terms of the curricular delivery. And the teachers who are delivering the IB curriculum has to be very well trained. There are plenty of opportunities within India for them to do, engineering, computing, business management, and so on and so forth. And also opportunities are there outside India, plenty of opportunities. For engineering, it's straightforward. Somebody who took IB to do them engineering, it's straightforward because they have maths, physics, and chemistry. Maths is compulsory. Now, let's say somebody wants to do medicine in India, especially top universities in the US, Harvard, MIT, UCLA, and all of that. The success rate of all the applicants together is around 3% in Ivy League. Is private university landscape in India now. Huge number of good quality private universities or autonomous universities came in, which don't go through the general entrance exam route. They can recruit students on their own. So quality of education is determined by the leadership of the institution, including the founders, including the principals, and of course the teachers. How very good the teachers is. 90 years ago, we produced 4 before independence. 4 science Nobel laureates. We haven't produced a single science Nobel laureate homegrown since our independence. 90 years passed by.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Desi Return. Today's episode is an expert talk, and I'm really excited to have Dr. Kondal Reddy on our show today. Dr. Kondal Reddy is a seasoned academic leader and the founder of Manchester Global School in Hyderabad. After a distinguished career in UK higher education, including as a deputy vice chancellor in University of Bolton and receiving an MBE, he returned to India to reimagine K-12 education by blending global standards and Indian values. So I'm really excited to have Dr. Kondal Reddy on our show to shed some light insights for parents who are planning to move back to India and have a lot of questions related to what curriculum to choose, how the kids would adapt, and so many other questions. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. With that, welcome Dr. Kondal Reddy to our show and glad to have you with us today.
Thank you very much indeed, Avinash, and I'm grateful for this talk. I hope I'll be able to help those parents, who are looking for education for their children, school education for their children in India. And I have gone through that personally as not just as a founder chairman of Manchester Global School, but also personally as a parent. I have gone through the journey, having lived for 2 decades in the UK in the education system, and then my own children, bringing them to India and finding them a good school and then, developing them. So I've been through the journey as a parent, but also I hope I'll be able to bring some insights in terms of Indian school education, curricula, quality, choice of schools, and so on and so forth. So that hopefully this talk would help the parents to enable them making those good decisions, good choices, and have the journey smoother.
Yes, absolutely. So if anyone is curious to hear the story of Dr. Kondal Reddy, his own personal journey of moving back to India, how was his life and so on, check out the link in the description below where we will share, his story, which we have telecasted in the past. So with that, let's get into today's topic. So let's, I think, start first with the different curricula that's offered in India and how can one parents choose which curricula would be appropriate for their kid and how should they go about it?
Okay, so India is home for a vast range of curricula. Some curricula parents and NRIs already know because they are widely taught in India. There are certain curricula people don't even know. Okay, so first, in terms of school curricula, there's a wide range of choice in India. So, like US, UK, Australia, they have their own state curricula defined by the government, but also schools deliver other curricula which is not defined by their home governments. Okay, so it's India is similar actually. So, in India, a widely delivered curricula includes we have a lot of states like Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and so on and so forth. So every state have their own state curricula, both in their local languages and also as English as a medium of instruction. So Hyderabad, which belongs to Telangana, has state curricula as well. Okay, and then it's taught in both English and Telugu. Okay, so quite a lot of students actually go through that state curricula, significant proportion. Then you have the Indian curriculum, pan-Indian curriculum, CBSE curricula, right? Which basically is delivered across India. Basically developed the CBSE as a common core curricula for whole of India is developed by government of India because people move, bank employees, central government employees move, army, a number of people move across India as part of their jobs and so on. So to enable them, several decades ago, India developed this curricula so that doesn't matter where people move, the curricula will be the same. So that's the fundamental background of CBSE. So CBSE is Indian curricula. Then you have international curricula, which includes IB, International Baccalaureate, and that curricula started in Switzerland. Originally started in Switzerland and went across the globe. And it's one of the widely recognized and widely taught curricula across the world as an international curriculum, recognized both by Indian government colleges and so on and so forth, but also worldwide, American universities, British universities, Australian universities. So IB, International Baccalaureate, is widely recognized global curricula. Then you also have curricula like Cambridge or IGCSE. It's a synonymous, Cambridge and IGCSE or UK curricula, all are same. Okay. So basically, Cambridge curricula belongs to UK, right? So it's developed by UK government, and the Cambridge University took the UK curricula and marketed it outside, and that's why it's called Cambridge or IGCSE outside UK.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the same. And then you have Kunskapsskolan, belongs to Sweden, and so on and so forth, which is not well known. So widely recognized curricula is International Baccalaureate IB and also Cambridge or IGCSE.
Yeah.
So that's the picture in terms of India. And from nursery up to grade 12, people offer these curricula. And it's really important for parents to understand the deeper aspects of what is the right fit for them, right? Because if you don't analyze those aspects and pick a curricula because your friend told or somebody said this is good or bad, I think it's really important to understand what are their needs, what are their children needs, where they are coming from. All of these factors play a very important choice of curricula. So that's the Indian landscape in terms of the curricula.
Fantastic. So along the same lines, I think as you are leading towards, how can parents select a particular curricula based on their needs or the kids' needs? How should they think about it so that they have like a deeper understanding of each curricula and then choose the right one for their kids?
Yeah. So now, one of the major aspects of choice of curricula is number one, the quality of education that offers. Obviously, that's number one criteria you should. Second, the needs, particular needs or unique particular needs of the child. Okay, for example, after studying particular curricula, where they are going to go for university undergraduate education. Now that plays a very important factor, and what kind of course you want to do at the undergraduate level, degree level, okay, after you finish that particular curricula. Okay, so the quality and also your needs, the parents and children both, because for example, a particular parent might actually say, okay, for undergraduate, my child is going to do medicine or engineering in India, then that factor also influences the choice of the curricula. Or some parent, an NRI parent might say, okay, so my child is a US citizen or British citizen, they are definitely going to go to US to study their undergraduate degree, engineering, computing, business, or whatever. Okay, then the factor changes. And somebody wants to do a different type of course, whether medicine in India or engineering in India or business, accountancy. So all of these factors play into. So the two main things, quality and also the choice or potential choice they're going to make when they finish the 12th standard after picking that curricula. So those two factors are very important. We'll probably discuss each of these in a minute, but I think those are the key factors: the quality of education that offers, the school where you're going to send, and finally, but most importantly, the undergraduate choice that you have in your mind for your child.
Got it. So let's, I think, continue that conversation. So you kind of mentioned
Yeah.
about quality of education. So let's, I think, try to understand the quality of education of these different curricula, or like how is that different relative to the countries like in US, UK, Australia. So if you can shed some insights which can help parents to understand this quality of education that is offered from different curricula.
Sure, sure. So I think let's pick an example so that it's much easier for parents to understand the core differences. So every curriculum offers its own strengths and it has its own pluses and minuses. Okay, so let's pick from Indian curricula point, CBSE. Okay. CBSE is widely delivered Indian curricula within India and some other Gulf countries as well. Okay. So CBSE is a very widely delivered curricula, Indian curricula. Let's pick International Baccalaureate as a international curricula, and let's try to see what are the key differences, what are the key strengths. Now, I'm not going to say this is good, this is bad, but what I would like to put on the table for the parents to is understand the differences, the strengths, the weaknesses, and then decide themselves what is good for them. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's pick CBSE first. CBSE as a curricula is very structured and very organized curricula. Okay. So let's pick 9th class CBSE. Okay. 9th class CBSE science, for example. So 9th class CBSE science has a textbook for CBSE. It has 14 chapters or something like that. 12 or 14 chapters, very organized: human body, atomic structure, magnetism, electricity, and so on and so forth. So 9th class science, very structured, 12 to 14 chapters in 9th class science. And CBSE board across India, they release a textbook, right? Nobody can change that curricula, right? So the board itself defines 100% of the curriculum and releases a textbook for 9th class science.
Yeah.
And teacher, before they go into the classroom, they prepare, definitions. Let's pick electricity within 9th class as a chapter. They open the chapter, they read the textbook, the teachers, and they find some experiments, essay questions, multiple choice questions at the end of the chapter, definitions, theory, all of that. Okay. And they come to the classroom, and teachers very well know what to teach because it's defined in that chapter of 9th class, electricity chapter. Now, the students also know because each one of them have their own textbook, and across India, it's the same textbook, nothing different. Okay. So if it's really good teacher, really good CBSE teacher, they might find some practical examples from outside the textbook. But I'm talking about really good CBSE teachers. Okay. So very well defined, very structured, common across India, and parents know what's happening, teachers know what's happening, children know what's happening. And let's say your kid, 9th class CBSE science, they come home, and if you ask as a parent, what's happening? They say, well, I'm studying electricity chapter. We finished 7 or 8 chapters, and now I'm studying the electricity chapter. So parents also have a very clear idea. 50-60% of the syllabus is finished now. So they know where their child is in terms of 9th class science. Similarly, other subjects as well. Okay. So very structured, everybody knows what to do. And really good teachers might go outside to bring some examples and so on and so forth. However, this is quite important point. If a teacher teaches well, if a student, really good student, reads the whole, how would I put it, the science book of 9th class very well, they can get 100 out of 100. They don't need to go anything beyond the textbook of that CBSE textbook to score 100 out of 100, right? So you get the philosophy of structured, organized, very well defined boundaries. Now, to continue the same example, so once they pass 11th and 12th in CBSE system within India, in India, they have certain advantages, right? Because most of the entrance exams within India, whether you take IIT JEE or NEET and so on and so forth, they are based on predominantly CBSE curriculum. Okay, so that's why studying the CBSE within India has that advantage of cracking the entrance exams. Okay, so the depth of the subject knowledge is pretty good in CBSE, and the advantages are structured, organized. There are plenty of teachers who can teach CBSE, and also the theory focus is quite high in the CBSE curriculum. And when they pass out 12th grade, they really are geared up quite well for IIT JEE or NEET or other entrance exams. I'm not suggesting CBSE guarantees an IIT seat.
Sure.
Millions of people study CBSE, but that doesn't mean it does guarantee. However, they are better geared up for those entrance exams. So CBSE, those are the core aspects and key advantages and strengths of CBSE. Then let's compare IB, International Baccalaureate, which is a global curriculum, in the similar lines. Okay, so the IB curriculum is very broad-based, much more application-oriented curriculum. And it tries to inculcate that holistic development in the children in addition to good subject knowledge. Okay, so those are the key strengths of IB. So and it's globally recognized, including within India. So those students who pass out with 12th grade, which is diploma program, they call 11th and 12th as a diploma program in IB, DP1, DP2. Diploma program 1, diploma program 2. And when they pass out, India very well recognizes the IB curricula to go into undergraduate degrees, and also across the world from Australia, United States, UK, every country recognizes IB curriculum, which is a strongly proven curriculum. So in terms of the curriculum itself, let's pick the same example of 9th grade, okay, which is called middle years program in IB terminology. So let's pick the 9th grade IB science, or integrated science, they call it, as a subject. Now, the IB board defines very broadly what should be taught at IB 9th grade, the middle years program, in that year. It doesn't release, these are the 14 chapters that you must teach, right? And this is the textbook for you, the teacher, to follow. And these are the boundaries, right? IB doesn't do that like CBSE, okay? IB very well defines what should be taught in the 9th grade: electricity, magnetism, human body, environmental sciences, and so on and so forth. It defines very clearly in terms of what should be taught in the 9th grade IB. But it doesn't release a book, right? There are other publishers who create a book for IB, but there is no official book that this is it. This is the 9th grade science book for IB. Now, the reason it doesn't do it is IB wants the school and the teachers to actually take that curriculum of IB 9th grade science and prepare a lesson plan, taking the current developments in that aspect, let's say electricity, right? And teach the students that holistic understanding, application-oriented knowledge for the students in that subject. So a teacher needs to refer to several books, or probably some online material and so on and so forth, in order to prepare a lesson plan for electricity, because there is no bound book and a chapter like in the CBSE. So therefore, the teacher needs to work much harder in order to actually get the grips with that particular chapter subject. Coal-based electricity, atomic electricity, what is the science behind it? What are the pollution caused by it? And also, what is the best cost-efficient form of producing electricity, clean energy? All of that the teacher has to teach, and also look at the current examples, and also encourage students to think about all these repercussions of various forms of electricity, the science behind it, the cost behind it, and so on. So they also encourage students to come back to the classroom and say, right, okay, what have you learned? Present XYZ about certain form of electricity and its impact on the environment. What is the best way to provide clean energy, cost effective in various countries? All of this. Now, the breadth of the subject understanding is quite significantly more in IB, whereas the depth of science itself is more in CBSE. Okay, so that's the core difference in terms of the curricular delivery. And the teachers who are delivering the IB curriculum has to be very well trained, and because they should have the ability to do their own research, develop a lesson plan, customize it, and then deliver to the classroom. So that's quite significant responsibility on the shoulders of the teachers.
Yeah.
Now, if the child goes to home and say, and parent asks IB child, what's happening in the classroom? What are you studying in science? They're not going to say my 60% curriculum is finished because I am in the 8th chapter or 9th chapter. They'll say, now we are working on electricity, as a concept. So sometimes the parents may feel a little bit vague, in terms of what's happening with their child, because it's much more dynamic. The curriculum delivery is much more dynamic in terms of this thing. That's why the quality of the teacher, the quality of the school is much more important when it comes to IB schools
Got it.
relative to the CBSE. Now, let's progress a little bit forward. So as IB students go further in terms of their 11th and 12th grade, in the IP curriculum, then there are plenty of opportunities within India for them to do, engineering, computing, business management, and so on and so forth. And also opportunities are there outside India, plenty of opportunities. So that's the core difference in terms of IB curriculum and CBSE curriculum. And of course, I don't want to go too much of detail into Cambridge as well, but I will touch a little bit on that. Now, a lot of parents don't know this. Even though Cambridge is a global curriculum or UK-based curriculum, Cambridge or IGCSE, it is much more nearer to CBSE curriculum, right? Because the Cambridge or IGCSE curriculum is similar because the UK government defines a structured curriculum and also releases, or no, there's a textbook and so on. So in a say, genetically, genetically the CBSE and IGCSE Cambridge curriculum are much more similar. In fact, I'm sure when CBSE curriculum was developed a few decades ago, it's drawn a lot of things from the Cambridge IGCSE curriculum of UK, right? So whereas the IB curriculum is much more broader and much more different from CBSE stroke Cambridge curriculum.
Makes sense. No, thanks for that. So just to continue on that, and then maybe one quick question. So I know we talked about, I think people who are from CBSE are well prepared for, these entrance exams. So where does the Cambridge fall in? Like, because it's kind of linked, it's structured, but how well are they prepared for these entrance exams?
Okay, so Indian entrance exams I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about SATs,
No, yeah.
IELTS, and all of that. Okay, so Indian entrance exams specifically, CBSE and Cambridge are a bit similar. Okay, so for example, if you want to go to engineering in India, you need to have math, physics, and chemistry as a core subjects. That's must. If you want to go medicine, for example, you need to have physics, chemistry, and biology, right? Everybody knows this. So the Cambridge curriculum allows that structure reasonably in a simple way. Okay. So in that sense, the structure is there. However, when it comes to the syllabus itself, it's significantly different, right? The syllabus itself, the choice of the subjects are there, okay, but syllabus is significantly different because it's developed in the UK. It's as simple as that. So it's a UK curriculum which Cambridge University simply took it and globalized or marketed it across the world. So it's not geared up for our entrance exams like CBSE, but structure is similar. So in that sense, they need to prepare extra. Let's say somebody studying Cambridge curriculum in India, they need to prepare extra during their 11th and 12th grades so that they can actually be ready for the entrance exams, whether it's NEET, IIT, JEE, or state entrance exams, and so on and so forth. So they have to make that extra preparation because it doesn't cover or match exactly like a CBSE curriculum. Whereas the entrance exams is 100% based on the CBSE curriculum they study from 10th, 11th, and 12th. Okay. So in that sense, so let's come to the reason I'm talking about the choice of the subject. This is quite important, Avinash. So IB, if you take IB in the choice of subjects, doesn't matter which undergraduate degree or which kind of combinations you choose in IB. I'm talking about 11th and 12th.
Yeah.
You must take mathematics in IB. So mathematics is compulsory in IB, right? Then you can take physics, chemistry, two sciences, a foreign language, English, and so on and so forth, right? Now, for engineering, it's straightforward. Somebody who took IB to do them engineering, it's straightforward because they have math, physics, and chemistry. Math is compulsory. Now, let's say somebody wants to do medicine in India after taking IB, then you need to pick three sciences. Okay, because you already have mathematics. Mathematics is compulsory. If you want to study business, accountancy, arts, doesn't matter what you want to study as a choice in IB, mathematics is compulsory because that's a global standard. Many countries insist. Okay, so therefore, the IB students needs to take math and three sciences to be eligible for NEET or medical entrance exams in India. That's one complexity or one additional need that they need to go through, right? That's the only one pinch point for IB students. Maths plus three sciences they have to take.
Got it.
Because worldwide, they don't insist on having physics for medical students. Only in India, that's a peculiar need that you need to do chemistry, biology, and what you call this, the mathematics. So physics, chemistry, and biology, three subjects you need to have. They don't need mathematics in India. Whereas across the world, they don't need physics, but many universities need mathematics. So that's this thing. So coming to the question, when it comes to engineering, business management, accountancy, computer science, all the courses, arts, economics, philosophy, doesn't matter what you want to study, IB is geared up simply quite well. If you want to do medicine abroad, while after finishing IB, then also it's quite simple because across the world, nobody asks for physics as a third science. So therefore, that's also only within India, only for medicine, there is an additional need to take three sciences for IB students. So, so that's the entrance exams. Now, when it comes to law, when it comes to IMAT or management aptitude tests for undergraduate entrances, engineering, all of that, IB and CBSE have similar, or Cambridge has a similar needs. Now, similar to Cambridge, IB is also not geared as CBSE curriculum for these entrance exams in India. Okay, that's for sure. Now, Cambridge or IB, they need to go for additional reading, additional coaching within the school in order to take those entrance exams. And many IB students, many Cambridge students with international curricula, they cracked IITs as well. They cracked NEET and all of that. There are several examples, but I'm not saying that it's as easy as CBSE curriculum. They need to work that bit harder. So in India, I can categorically say that CBSE students or state curriculum students have a slight advantage when it comes to entrance exams. And similarly, if you take international baccalaureate, that slight disadvantage when it comes to entrance exams in India turns out to be a huge advantage if they go abroad.
Sure.
Because they studied, global curricula. They're geared up for the, system of, international universities, global universities, and so on. I'll just give a small example, Avinash here. So if you take Ivy League universities in the US or Russell Group universities like Oxford, Cambridge, UCL, Imperial College London, and so on, so top universities in the UK, top universities in the US, especially top universities in the US, Harvard, MIT, UCLA, and all of that. The success rate of all the applicants together is around 3% in Ivy League. So every 100 applicants, including the US students,
Yeah.
right? Only 3% actually are offered places, okay, out of 100. Now, if you take IB students alone, IB applicants alone, after their 12th grade, to the Ivy League universities in the US or top university in the UK, the success rate is around 5.5 to 6%.
Okay.
Right? So that, over the last 10, 15 years, there's a specific, information on that. So IB students have a great advantage, when they study abroad. But on a whole, I understand that around 30% to 40% IB students are studying undergraduate degrees in India, and around 60% plus are going to abroad, whether it's US, Australia, and so on. So yes, they can study engineering and other programs, business management in India as well. Some students went for NEET as well, IB students. So that's all happening. But a significant portion is going abroad from the IB after their IB.
Okay, thanks for that. So I think continuing that, I think you kind of mentioned about, people who have done the IB curricula, like I think Indian colleges recognize that. So just to confirm, so if they have to get admissions into these colleges, is there another way, like for people or the kids who have done IB curricula instead of like these entrance exams? Because if it's recognized, is there another admission process for the kids who have gone through this curricula?
Okay. Very important question, Avinash. And I think most of the parents have this in mind that if they study IB, they had to go to, overseas to study undergraduate degree. So the primary aspect is, let's little bit more about entrance exams. Most of the entrance exams, there are two things in them. One is to get qualified.
Yeah.
Okay. For example, if you have NEET or if you have other engineering entrance exam, one level is getting qualified, which means that if you qualify, most of the colleges will take you, whether payment seats or whether, through various categories and NRI categories and so on and so forth. But you must qualify. Vast majority of IB students easily qualify, right? Without huge effort, they easily qualify for the entrance exams. Vast majority, very easily they will qualify. Now, the second level is getting higher ranks. Okay. For example, IIT JEE high rank,
Sure.
NEET high rank, to get free seats, to get government college seats, those kinds of things. That's where the disadvantage is. I'm not saying they can't crack it. They do crack it. There are hundreds of examples where IB graduates or IB 12th graduates and Cambridge 12th graduates cracked these and got free seats, IIT seats, and so on. So there are plenty of examples, but it's not that easy. So as they qualify through these entrance exams, parents can choose hundreds of colleges and universities across India, right? So that's an important point, and it's not difficult for IB or Cambridge students to qualify. Okay, so that opens the door for a huge number of this thing, leaving the NITs and IITs and so on and so forth. So that's first part. The second part is private university landscape in India now. Huge number of good quality private universities or autonomous universities came in, which don't go through the general entrance exam route. They can recruit students on their own.
Yeah.
Hyderabad has several, Symbiosis, you have BITS, which have their own entrance exam, but ICFI, you have Mahindra University. All these universities have direct admissions as well, right? Without going through the whole university. You have Ashoka University. You have so many good universities which are there across India for engineering, for medicine, and so on and so forth. So qualifying also opens the door for hundreds of colleges and universities, and direct route also to this Vellore Institute of Technology and so on and so forth. All of this have plenty of opportunities, doesn't matter which course, law, medicine,
Sure.
arts, economics, and so on and so forth. Only to the government university campuses require those very high ranks in those entrance exams. That's where the difficulty, not impossibility, but difficulty lies. But in comes to having a good, very high quality opportunities to degree, there are plenty in every field for IB graduates.
Yeah. Thank you for that. So continuing to that conversation, right? I think for IB, you mentioned about the prep work required, and that's where the school, the teachers, they all play a big role. So along the same lines, what to look for school, like, when the parents are considering they decide a curriculum that they want to go with, and then how do they should go about selecting a particular school?
Okay. So, now I'll give an example of general school landscape. So, I mean, obviously at Manchester Global School, Hyderabad, where we have both day scholars and residential boarding capacity, we offer from nursery up to 12th grade in IB, and we also offer CBSE as well. Okay. So, in terms of how to go various steps of choosing a school, um, there are a few factors which I would highlight. Okay. And as an educationalist myself, I always, quality comes first, right? Um, and I really do believe, in that core aspect of quality of education. Okay. So quality of education is determined by the leadership of the institution, including the founders, including the principals, and of course the teachers. How very good the teachers is, because I always suggest to the parents who come to Manchester Global School, the first criteria in terms of our school development is world-class education with great teachers, right? Without great teachers, you can't deliver good quality education, full stop.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter, how big the campus is and what they are saying, what kind of franchisee, what kind of curriculum. So quality of education with great teachers is a number one factor. And how well the leadership team of the school is geared to identify and also to retain, not only recruit, but retain those great teachers in a long-term basis. And you won't believe, Avinash, at Manchester Global School, we are a 20 acres campus. The first building we have completed is not the school building. The first building we completed is a teacher's residency.
Yeah.
We built 50 flats, so that we provide not only best pay, but also free accommodation for our teachers.
Yeah.
And majority of the teachers live on campus, so that there is an incentive for them. There is a loyalty, there is a connection, close connection with the school for the teachers. So as an educationalist or teacher, researcher myself, I really believe in that.
Yeah.
So the first aspect is world-class education with great teachers, right? The second, I would say, holistic development of the child, right? The world-class education, good mathematics, teaching well in science, English, and then so on and so forth, all of those subjects. Then holistic development. Now, if you open Manchester Global Schools brochure or any school's brochure, everybody will say, right, holistic development, overall development of the child. But I always suggest parents to ask the question, how you're going to do it?
Yeah.
Right? How you're going to achieve this overall development or holistic development of the child? Because every parent, it's important. Holistic development today, educated parents, professional parents, they ask this. But ask any school you go to, how you are going to achieve. And that's where, sometimes it's easy to identify, because 90% of the schools in Hyderabad or across India do not have 100 square yards of playground. 100 square yards,
Yeah.
right? So how are they going to achieve the holistic development? See, the holistic development, what I mean or what we mean at Manchester Global School is various things: communication skills, how to influence people, how to be resilient, how to take pressures of life, financial literacy, being a lifelong learner, and so on. We clearly define what holistic development of the child means. And we don't conduct annually one or two seminars on those areas. You need to embed those holistic development factors into the curriculum
Yeah.
and teach day in and day out, both within the classroom and outside the classroom. So you need to look for the second factor of holistic development. You need to look for infrastructure very, very keenly. So, for example, I only take the school. So at Manchester Global School, we introduced 14 different sports, right? From cricket to football to swimming, archery, and so on campus, not somewhere else, but on campus. They can actually pick any sport they like out of these 14 different sports. They can actually pick one team sport and one individual sport, depending on their interest, strength, and so on. And they can grow, into those sports. So why is that important? Because to develop resilience, how to take pressures of life, to develop the confidence, communication skills, a lot of things happen in the classroom, but a lot of things happen outside the classroom. You fall down on the ground, somebody pushes you, all of this doesn't happen in the classroom. Somebody holds your hand, you work as a team on the playground. So all of this happens, I would say 60-70% of holistic development happens outside the classroom. You know how to deal with people because somebody tackled you on the football ground. So the same skill sets, the strengths that you develop through those aspects, whether curriculum, extracurricular activities, sports, all of that you take into your life.
Yeah.
And that's why we strongly believe at Manchester Global School that the holistic development is so critical and the infrastructure plays quite a role. So first is world-class education with great teachers. Second, holistic development of your child. The third, um, I don't know whether how many schools or whatever, but at least in our school, we play a very, very important role, the core values, right? In addition to subject knowledge and overall development, we also want to focus on core values. And I really, wherever education institutions, I attend a lot of graduation ceremonies of other institutions. I speak at them, and I always say that's very important. Not just to be good, but also that having those core values gives it very great strength. So, what do we mean by that? Believing in hard work, believing in long-term commitment to something, whether it's subject, whether it's relationships, whether it's whatever that is in life. So India has produced, great businessmen, great technologies, great CEOs, Satya Nadella, Sundar Pichai, all of that. They grew up with a mindset of working hard, having a level of loyalty to whether subject knowledge, technology company, whatever, a technology perspective. That's what we grew up with. And I really, unfortunately, I believe that we're slowly losing that, that kind of core values that we grew up with. And it's really important. That's what, got India where it is today in the last 20, 25, 30 years. Now, I think we should not lose those core values, belief in hard work, belief in respect to parents, teachers, belief in long-term commitment, and so on. So, three, I would say, in a broader sense, world-class education with great teachers, holistic development, and core values. If a school can do this, I really think that you have given quite a fantastic education to your child. I'll give you one example when it comes to core values. Um, and that really, and again, an unfortunate example, not a great example. So it's been 90 years, 90. India has not produced homegrown a single science Nobel laureate. 1.4 billion people, right? So 90 years ago, we produced four before independence, four science Nobel laureates. We haven't produced a single science Nobel laureate homegrown since our independence. 90 years passed by, 1.4 billion, most populous. Why does this happen? Because people don't have the schooling system, the educational system is not geared up of producing next Sir C.V. Raman, next even Ambani for that matter, right? We have, somehow the schools got into this short-term entrance exams, ranks, IIT, IIM, HSBC London, that's the three crores package, that's kind of thing. Not pioneers, pathbreakers, leaders, entrepreneurs. In fact, so to conclude that answer, the very reason why we established this school is to, exactly do that, to sow a seed in the form of Manchester Global School, where we grow pioneers, pathbreakers, leaders, and entrepreneurs for tomorrow. So that's the key thing. And there are certain good schools in India, very few who has that kind of, vision and so on. So I think the three: world-class education, great teachers, core values, and holistic development. If that those are the fundamentals you need to look for. Doesn't matter where, which state, and so on.
Yeah, so that's a good summary, and also all the best with your plans. I think how you wanted to have these pioneers, pathbreakers to be developed. I think that's something that you have to do from ground up. I think when they're growing itself. So switching gears a little bit. So if someone is moving from abroad, like especially who has done some schooling in abroad, and they're planning to continue the schooling in India, are there any tips or any insights or things that you would suggest for parents or for kids to do so that they can comfortably transition well into the Indian school system? Whether, irrespective of the curricula, irrespective of the school, it's just some of the good things to kind of help them out with the transition.
Yeah. So, so each of the country varies, but generally the tools, tips I would give is a few actually. So the first is, if they are quite young, let's say you are coming when your children is in grade 1, grade 2, something like that, then you have a lot of room to make some further decisions. Okay, it becomes much more easier to selecting a school at that level. The three factors I said,
Yeah.
does the school has great teachers, good infrastructure, playgrounds that play a role. However, let's say you are moving a child when they are in grade 8 or 9. Okay, now this point, anything grade 7 or above, you need to consider a couple of technical aspects very, very clearly. So let's say, first of all, when you move from US or UK or Australia, which grade they would come into.
Yeah.
Okay, this particular factor applies throughout, even from grade 1 to grade 12. Okay, grade 10. So, which grade they will move? So, let's say in the UK system, um, if you are finished grade 8 in the UK system and you want to, after grade 8, you are coming to India for you with your child. Now, logically, you think that they'll go into grade 9.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. Because in the UK system, all the students are 1 year ahead. Okay, when they are studying grade 1, 2, 3, 4 up to grade 9. Okay, so GCSEs, which is a UK core, they study almost as if they are studying 10th grade for 2 years.
Got it.
Okay, so when they finish their GCSE, which is equivalent to 10th grade, they become equal to all the curriculum in the world. Until 9th grade, they're 1 year ahead because the 10th grade they study for 2 years. I'm simplifying.
Yes.
Then they become equal
Yeah.
and they go 11th and 12th, same as everybody. Okay. Now, if you are moving from 8th grade into India, that means they are 1 year ahead. So, highly likely you need to repeat grade 8 in India because there is no 10th grade 2 years.
Right. Yeah.
Right, whether it's you're moving IB, CBSE, so that's a basic fundamental, so that you need to consider technicalities. Now the reason I'm pinpointing that first is lot of parents and some schools also don't know this. They don't do analyze where they're coming from. Oh, 8th grade and now I'll put 9th grade. Okay, so that's quite important. Okay, so which system you are coming from and which grade they need to go into.
Yeah.
Okay, once you sorted out that, very important. So keep that in mind. Because if you finish 12th, instead of 18 years old, if you finish, let's say 16-year-old finishing DP, doesn't matter how many marks they have. Most of the British, US, UK universities, they don't allow you at age 16 to go into a university.
Yeah.
You need to put a lot of special measures. I'm not saying it's impossible, but you need to put a lot of special measures. They can't travel alone. They can't stay in the normal halls of residence. All kinds of things come into. Okay, so that's why it's important for them to come into the right grade when you are coming to India. Now, the second point is the undergraduate choice, which we touched upon
Sure.
slightly. Now, let's say there's a US NRI coming into India, and let's say their kids are, US citizens, and the parents have already decided, in scenario one, they've already decided. Let's take UK as well for this matter. Already decided to go back for undergraduate degree or send their children to undergraduate degree in the US. Then, obviously, it becomes much simpler, right?
Yeah.
So for IB, absolutely fine. There's no issue at all. IB is better geared if they are going back, as I said before. Okay, so that's quite an important point because, or if you say scenario two, you want to do a medicine, you are particularly 100%. My kid loves doing medicine, and that too in India. And as an NRI parent, I want them to do, or my girl to do medicine in India. If you have 100% made the decision, then um, probably the curriculum choice will vary.
Yeah.
Okay. So as they said, CBSE offers that 3 sciences without math. So that may be a better idea. If you want to do medicine in the UK, then your choice changes. So your undergraduate choice, if you are particular, if you're open-minded, that's fine. They are going
Sure.
ahead. If you're particular that they're going to go back for undergraduate degree in the US or go back for undergraduate degree in the UK, you need to make those subject choices accordingly when you come to India. So
Got it.
that's the second technical point. The third aspect is don't have this impression that I have to send my kid back to US or UK. A lot of parents have this misunderstanding. Yes, it's fantastic if you want to send them to US, UK. That's absolutely fine, or Australia. But there are plenty of opportunities be with an open mind in terms of the overall spectrum of opportunities, whether it's engineering, medicine, computing, business, economics, and so on. So that's one of the key factors. Be with an open mind. And then one aspect I would also suggest is look at how well that particular school you are choosing is geared up for these scenarios. Okay, so definitely I want to take my child to UK after their 12th grade, to UCL, Imperial, Oxford, Cambridge, or Liverpool University. Doesn't matter. Then does the school has systems in place to prepare them for IELTS or something? Same for the US. Do they have some level of coaching inbuilt into the campus, inbuilt into the SAT coaching and other things? Also, how well they are in terms of providing the services, advisory services, right? So, for example, in our school from 10th grade itself, we'll start advising the students and also the parents, subject choices, where do you want to go? Based on that, the subject choices might change, and so on and so forth. This has to happen quite early before they choose 11th grade subjects and so on. So the ecosystem of the school also comes into the picture when you make these channels, especially NRIs makes those choices. So look for those aspects, very, very closely.
Got it. So let's switch gears a little bit. I think maybe this is a little bit of a tactical question that I hear from a lot of parents. So what are some of the legal and practical documents that are required for school admission for OCI holders? Typically, like maybe, they don't get like a TC in US or, in abroad. So what are the documents that are required for an OCI? And there is also like along the same lines, is Aadhaar mandatory for OCI students? And, there is this 180-day rule where OCI holders can't get an Aadhaar card until they live in India for 180 days. So how do you kind of work around that? So if you can talk a little bit of the tactical things of these documents and, how the OCI students can go through that. Yeah.
Great. I think at Manchester Global School here, we faced a lot of those aspects. So I'll take a few examples as well while I'm explaining. So we have almost in the first year itself, we have over 30 students, NRIs with OCI cards and so on. So yes, it does take a few months to get the Aadhaar card, but the schools generally would be geared up, to give the admission and then help. So, for example, we created a kind of 2 or 3 day workshop to actually apply for Aadhaar, from the school itself, take the pictures in a right way and so on. Because sometimes they have to go to Mandal headquarters, all kinds of this thing. So we asked people to come here and do the whole process of applying for Aadhaar and so on. It became much easier. So yes, it does take 3 months and so on. But schools are generally, at least at Manchester Global School, we take that as a flexibility. We give the admission, they start attending the classes. If they came in a hurry, then they can submit those documents in the meantime. So that flexibility is there. And I think most of the schools should provide, that flexibility. So we do help those technicalities here, and most of the schools, I'm sure, they do as well. Yeah. Okay, but they must require Aadhaar eventually.
Yes.
Okay. That's first aspect. And obviously, parents' passport copies and children passport copies, OCI card, that should be sufficient to start, in terms of the schooling and all of that. So one thing. But before that, before they started their journey from UK or US and so on, you need to do a few things. A lot of parents do miss this. I'll pick UK example. In fact, I was advising one of the parents who already joined, but coming after around IB program in our school at Manchester Global School from UK. So in the UK, what happened doesn't matter which school you went to. Okay. What they do is they give a completion or end of the year report.
Yeah.
It has that they have finished grade 8 or 9 or 10, whatever, end of the year report from the school. They also give grades, may not be like in India, 80 out of 100 in science, not like A, B, whatever, whatever the system of that country. They give a report which includes the grades, which includes the date of leaving the school and so on and so forth. Okay. And that paper is quite important. that is almost like your TC. It might not say transfer certificate, but the end of the year report is sufficient.
Yeah.
That is considered as a TC almost in, at least Manchester Global School considers as a TC, and we did not have any problem in terms of government when we submit the records to the government of our students. So that's not an issue. Okay. But you need to get that.
Yeah.
You must get that. There's another reason why you need to get end of the year report. For example, if you take UK, maybe I don't know that much of technical detail in the US, but in the US also they give the end of the year reports.
Yeah.
Now, in the UK in particular, they can actually, if you are leaving, let's say June time or July first week, right? The academic year completes or finishes in the UK around mid or end of July across the UK.
Yeah.
Okay, August is a holiday time. Now, this parent, they are moving in July first week because the IB and most of the schools here start in July.
Yeah.
Right? They need to skip a few weeks in the UK, take the end of the year certificate, and move. Okay. If they complete it, for example, if it's lower classes, then it's not a much a problem. You can come a bit late. But if you're coming to 9th or 10th grade here in India,
Yeah.
then you need to better come early and start here at an appropriate date in India. Okay, you should sacrifice maybe 2 or 3 weeks in US or UK and better come here. Better. I'm
Yeah.
not saying that you must, but better. So this UK citizen is coming early and he's taking the end of the year report so that the child is leaving 2 or 3 weeks early than he's supposed to.
Yeah.
In the UK system, they'll give interim report as well. Most of the, if you request, most of the schools, they give interim report. Now, that's also useful at the airport, right? In the UK system, you can be fined in the airport if you move the child during the school time.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. And it can stay on the parent's record.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So, yeah. So it's not a nice thing to do. Okay. I'm not saying that, it's harsh as deport and all of that, but, you need to. So they will, so then your end of the year report says that this child is leaving early because he got admitted into an Indian school. You have offer letter from India, from Manchester Global School or X school, whatever. And you'll have both the documents. So they will understand this child is moving to study in India. So he's not skipping the classes here. So that kind of thing. So end of the year report from there, your admission letter from here is quite important, and you need to admission letter. You don't need to have the enrollment and all of that, but at least admission letter you need, and that will make the process very smooth.
Got it.
Okay, I know we went quite deep, but so yeah, so coming to the documentation, yes, those are the critical things before you start and once you arrive in India. And I think school generally, or at least top schools are generally geared up for helping the parents on those aspects.
Got it. No, thank you very much for sharing this, because it's some of the tactical thing that people are a little bit concerned. So it's good to have the information directly from the head of the school who oversees that, and how the parents can navigate it. I know we can continue this conversation, but I think we had about an hour of the information and a lot of details there. I think if anyone is interested to learn more about Manchester Global, or if you want to take a assessment and see which curriculum could be appropriate for you, or talk to some of the admissions or academics team to get insights in terms of the school, especially if you're moving to Hyderabad. We have a link in the description below where you can fill in the information, and someone from the Manchester Global team will reach out, talk to you and provide some information. So with that, thank you very much, Dr. Kondal Reddy, for taking your time, sharing a lot of insights, especially in terms of the different curriculums, how a parent can choose, also like how they should think about like selecting a particular school, and some of the tactical things in terms of the OCI holders. So really appreciate you taking the time and sharing all that with us today.
Thank you very much indeed, Avinash. And I really wish all the parents their best in terms of choice of the school curriculum and so on. I hope a few insights we have given from Manchester Global School perspective and my own educating my children in the UK and then bringing to India, all that perspective. I hope some of those aspects would be useful for parents. But if any parents are interested to consider our school, you're always welcome at Manchester Global School, Hyderabad. Thank you very much indeed.
Great. Thanks.
Take care.